Humans are the most fertile creatures in the galaxy. Dr. Crix adjusted his 4 eyes as he stared at the day streaming across his holographic display. The Virian scientist had spent the last 3 cycles analyzing reproduction rates across 17 different species in the galactic community, and what he discovered made his secondary heart skip. It beat. The numbers were impossible yet undeniable. Humans were breeding at a rate that defied every known biological law in the universe. The blue-scaled alien pushed back from his workstation in the research facility, orbiting the neutral world of Nexus Prime. Around him, dozens of other xenobiologists from various species worked on their own projects, but none had stumbled upon anything quite like this. Crix had been tasked with creating a comprehensive fertility database for the Galactic Council, a routine assignment that should have taken no more than a few months to complete. Instead, he found himself confronting data that challenged everything the scientific community believed about reproduction and population dynamics. The humans who had joined the galactic community just 50 years ago were not merely fertile. They were impossibly prolific in ways that made other species appear practically sterile by comparison. His tentacles trembled as he pulled up the comparative charts. The average Virian female produced perhaps 3 offspring in her lifetime if she was fortunate. The insectoid click species managed slightly better with their queens, laying up to a dozen eggs per cycle. Even the famously reproductive Zephyrian mammals rarely exceeded 5 young per breeding pair over their entire lifespan. But the humans were different. A single human female could theoretically produce offspring every 10 months for decades. The mathematics were staggering. Where other species measured their reproductive success in single digits, humans counted theirs in the dozens or even hundreds when extended family networks were considered. Crix called up the most recent census data from Earth and the human colonies. In just half a century since joining the galactic community, the human population had grown from 8 billion to over 12 billion. No other species in recorded history had achieved such explosive growth, while maintaining technological advancement and social stability. The implications were staggering. If humans continued reproducing at their current rate, while other species maintained their traditional patterns, humanity would numerically dominate the galaxy within a few centuries. The thought sent shivers through his cold-blooded physiology. He began cross-referencing the data with historical records from the galactic archives. The Zephyrians had once been the most numerous species in the galaxy, with colonies spanning hundreds of worlds. Yet their current population barely reached 2 billion across all their territories. The ancient Korth Empire had ruled 1,000 systems at its height, but their numbers had dwindled to mere millions due to their extremely low birth rates. Every civilization in the galaxy seemed to follow the same pattern. As they advanced technologically and socially, their birth rates declined. It was considered a natural evolutionary response to prevent overpopulation and resource depletion. The more sophisticated a species became, the fewer offspring they produced. This was accepted as universal law. Except humans apparently had never received that memo. The data showed that even the most advanced human societies maintained robust fertility rates. Their scientists, engineers, and leaders continued having multiple offspring while simultaneously pushing the boundaries of technology and exploration. They seemed to have somehow bypassed the evolutionary mechanism that limited reproduction in advanced civilizations. Crix realized he needed to dig deeper. He accessed the classified files on human physiology that had been gathered during their initial contact and integration period. What he found made his scales pale to a sickly green color. Human females were fertile for roughly 30 years of their lifespan. During that time, they could potentially produce offspring continuously, with only brief recovery periods between pregnancies. Unlike most galactic species that had specific breeding seasons or cycles, humans could reproduce year-round. Their biology seemed optimized for maximum reproductive output. Even more shocking was the discovery that humans had developed technologies and social systems that actually supported this fertility rather than limiting it. Most species used their advancing technology to further reduce their already low birth rates. Humans used theirs to make raising large families easier and more viable. The medical advances that extended human lifespans also extended their reproductive years. Genetic therapies ensured healthier pregnancies and offspring. Automated systems handled much of the labor-intensive work of child-rearing, instead of technology creating barriers to reproduction as it did for other species. It eliminated them for humans. Crix sat back in his chair, his mind racing with the implications. This was not just a scientific curiosity, it was potentially the most important discovery in galactic history. The reproductive advantage that humans possessed was so significant that it could reshape the entire political and social structure of the galaxy. He thought about the current tensions in the Galactic Council. Several older species had been expressing concern about human expansion and influence. They attributed it to human aggression or cunning, but Crix now realized the true source of human power was far more fundamental. They were simply outbreeding everyone else. The scientist began calculating projections for the next few centuries. If current trends continued, humans would comprise the majority of the galactic population within 300 years. By 500 years, they would outnumber all other species combined. The implications for resource allocation, political representation, and cultural dominance were staggering. Dr. Crix knew he had to be absolutely certain before presenting these findings to the Galactic Council. The data was too explosive, too potentially destabilizing to release without triple verification. He began designing new studies to confirm his initial findings, while simultaneously wondering if he truly wanted to unveil this information to the galaxy. The question that haunted him was whether this knowledge would lead to productive policy discussions or spark fear and potentially violent reactions from species that suddenly realized they were facing demographic extinction. The answer to that question would determine not just the future of scientific inquiry, but the fate of galactic civilization itself. As he prepared to delve deeper into his research, Dr. Crix could not shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon something that would change everything. The most fertile creatures in the galaxy were not some primitive species driven by biological imperatives, but rather the newest members of the galactic community who somehow managed to combine advanced civilization with unprecedented reproductive success. The data did not lie, but the implications were almost too significant to comprehend. In a galaxy where most species struggled to maintain their population levels, humans were experiencing a demographic explosion that would reshape the very foundations of interstellar society. The question was no longer whether this would happen, but how the galaxy would respond when the truth became known. Dr. Crix activated his secure communications array and began composing a message to the Galactic Council Science Committee. Whatever happened next, the galaxy was about to learn that they were sharing space with the most reproductively successful species in known history, and the consequences of that discovery would ripple through every corner of civilized space. The blue-scaled scientist looked once more at his day. It displays where the numbers told a story that no amount of skepticism could refute. Humans were not just fertile, they were phenomenally prolific in ways that challenged every assumption about advanced civilizations and their relationship with reproduction. The galaxy was about to receive a lesson in the power of demographic advantage, and Dr. Crix would be the one to deliver it. As he continued his research, he wondered if he was documenting a scientific marvel or writing the opening chapter of a complete transformation of galactic civilization. The answer would determine the future of every species among the stars. His analysis revealed that human reproductive success was not merely a biological quirk, but a sophisticated adaptation that combined natural fertility with cultural and technological innovations. Unlike other species that viewed large families as burdens, humans had developed systems that made them advantages. Extended family networks provided childcare support, while advanced automation handled resource production and distribution. The implications extended far beyond simple population counts. Human societies had evolved to harness the energy and creativity of large populations, turning demographic density into technological and cultural advancement. Where other species saw overcrowding, humans saw opportunity for specialization, innovation, and collective achievement. Dr. Crix realized that the galaxy was witnessing the emergence of a species that had solved the fundamental contradiction between advanced civilization and reproductive success. While other species had chosen technological sophistication over biological prolificacy, humans had somehow achieved both simultaneously. The question remained whether this remarkable achievement would be viewed as an inspiration or a threat by the other members of the galactic community. The answer would shape interstellar relations for generations to come, as the galaxy grappled with the reality of sharing space with the most fertile creatures in the known universe. As Dr. Crix prepared his final report, he understood that his discovery would mark a turning point in galactic history. The age of demographic stability was ending, and the era of human numerical dominance was about to begin. The consequences would be felt across every world, every species, and every corner of the galaxy, as civilization adjusted to a new reality where fertility had become the ultimate evolutionary advantage. The most fertile creatures in the galaxy were not primitive beings driven by instinct but sophisticated humans who had mastered the art of combining reproductive success with technological advancement. The implications of that combination would reshape the future of interstellar civilization in ways that no one could fully predict or control. Dr. Crix transmitted his findings to the Galactic Council, knowing that he had just revealed the most significant demographic shift in galactic history. The humans were coming not through conquest or colonization, but through the simple yet profound act of having children. In a universe where most species struggled to maintain their numbers, that difference would prove decisive. The galaxy would never be the same once it understood that it was sharing space with beings who had turned fertility into their greatest strength. The age of human demographic dominance was about to begin, and Dr. Crix had provided the scientific proof that would change everything. The most fertile creatures in the galaxy had arrived, and their impact would be felt for millennia to come.